Michael J. Fox's career has always looked glamorous from the outside, but behind the scenes he faced struggles that could have ended everything. During the filming of Back to the Future Part 3, a dangerous accident almost cost him his life. In a scene where his character was supposed to be hanged, the stunt went horribly wrong. The rope cut off blood flow to his brain, and he dangled unconscious for several seconds before the director realized the mistake and rushed to save him. It was a terrifying moment, but this wasn't the only danger he was living with. At that time, Michael was working exhausting 18-hour days, while secretly fighting a devastating illness that no one else knew about. The pressure nearly broke him, both physically and emotionally, and the truth about his life during those years would later shock the world. Michael Andrew Fox, known to millions as Michael J. Fox, was born on June 9, 1961, in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. His father, William, was a career soldier in the Royal Canadian Corps of Signals, while his mother, Phyllis, worked as a payroll clerk and quietly loved acting. His childhood was a mixture of strict military discipline from his father and creativity from his mother. Growing up in a military family meant constant moves. Because of his father's long service, the family lived in places like North Bay and Chilliwack, and by the time Michael was in his early teens, he had already moved 5 times. Being the new kid so often taught him how to adapt quickly, use humor to make friends, and read people in any situation. Though difficult, those years helped shape the quick wit and charm that would later define his career. In 1971, when his father retired, the family finally settled in Burnaby, British Columbia. For the first time, Michael had stability. Like many Canadian boys, he dreamed of becoming a professional ice hockey player. Inspired by legends like Bobby Orr, he poured all his energy into the sport, practicing hard and playing with determination. But as the years went on, his dream began to slip away. His teammates grew taller and stronger, while Michael remained small, eventually reaching only 5 feet 4 inches. That height made it nearly impossible to compete at a professional level. Letting go of his NHL dream was devastating, but it forced him to look for another path where size didn't matter. That new path came unexpectedly. Michael loved music and had taught himself guitar, even playing in garage bands. But in high school, he discovered drama class. In 1976, when he was just 15, a teacher noticed his natural comedic timing and encouraged him to audition for a Canadian television sitcom called Leo and Me. The show needed a small actor to play a 10-year-old boy, and the very thing that had ended his hockey dream, his size, suddenly became his advantage. Michael landed the role and received his first professional paycheck. Walking into that audition at 15, he had no idea it would change the entire course of his life. The producers of Leo and Me were surprised at how easily he handled the part despite his lack of professional experience. His youthful appearance and natural charm made him a perfect fit. The show ran for 2 seasons, and Michael played Jamie, the younger brother in the family. While the role wasn't glamorous, it gave him independence and the chance to see acting as a real career. Soon, more opportunities began to arrive. Between 1978 and 1979, he became one of Canada's most recognizable young actors. He appeared in television films such as Letters from Frank, where he played a troubled teen dealing with his father's alcoholism. By then, casting directors were asking for him by name, something almost unheard of for someone so young. At the time, he was earning around $1,500 per episode, which would be the equivalent of about $6,000 today. By the age of 17, he was already being featured in Canadian magazines as a rising star, something that usually took actors years to achieve. But in 1979, he took on a role that completely changed how he saw acting. He joined the stage production of The Shadow Box at Vancouver's Phoenix Theatre, playing Mark, a young man dying of cancer. The Pulitzer Prize-winning play explored deep themes of life, death, and family. Michael, only 18 and the youngest in the cast by nearly a decade, performed 8 shows a week for 6 weeks. The pay was low, just $200 a week, far less than television, but the experience was priceless. Critics praised his vulnerability and emotional honesty, qualities no one expected from such a young actor. It was during this play that Michael realized acting wasn't just a job, it could be an art form, something that demanded courage, truth, and total dedication. That same year, at only 18 years old, he made the boldest decision of his life. He decided to leave Canada and take a huge risk on Hollywood. Even though Michael had offers to stay in Canada, including a starring role in a new show that would have paid him $2,000 per episode for 22 episodes, he decided to risk everything and move to Los Angeles. He left behind the security of steady work with only $500 in savings, no Hollywood connections, and parents who feared he was making a huge mistake. His own agent warned him that Hollywood didn't usually welcome unknown actors, especially someone as short as Michael. But Michael was determined to take the risk. He rented a tiny studio apartment in West Hollywood for $200 a month and lived on cheap food like bologna sandwiches and generic cereal. He dreamed of stardom, but Hollywood didn't greet him kindly. At first, he managed to get a few auditions, but by 1980, the calls stopped coming. His bills piled up until he was $10,000 in debt, agents stopped reaching out, and his landlord threatened to evict him. At one point, he survived an entire week on just $150, stretching it by buying day-old bread. By 1981, things had become so desperate that he sold his sectional couch piece by piece just to cover rent. The first piece got him $50, and he sold off more as the months dragged on. He auditioned for more than 100 roles but failed to land any of them. The constant rejection wore him down, leaving him depressed and questioning if he should quit acting altogether. By the summer of 1980, he was completely broke, a harsh reminder that Hollywood rejected nearly 90% of newcomers at the time. Still, these struggles built his resilience in ways he didn't yet understand. His first real break came with the Disney comedy Midnight Madness, which opened on February 8, 1980. Michael played Scott Larson, a bratty college student who only appeared for less than 5 minutes. The part paid $2,000 for 2 weeks of work, just enough to cover his $500 rent for a short while. But the film, which cost $4 million to make, earned only $2.9 million and did nothing for his career. During filming in 1979, he was so underfed that he fainted after eating nothing but rice for days. Though he had beaten 200 other actors for the role, no new offers followed. He used the paycheck to pay off $1,500 in debt, but by December of 1980, he was broke again. Later, Michael admitted that Midnight Madness felt like his rock bottom, a low point where he almost gave up completely. Around this same time, he had to make another big decision: change his name. When he joined the Screen Actors Guild in 1979, he discovered that another actor named Michael Fox had already registered the name. On November 15, 1979, he chose to add the letter J, inspired by actor Michael J. Pollard from Bonnie and Clyde. He avoided using his real middle initial, A, because he thought headlines would tease him as Michael, a Fox. He paid $100 in fees, money he could barely afford, and officially became Michael J. Fox on December 1, 1979. The new name appeared in the credits of Midnight Madness. Years later, he explained that Michael Andrew Fox sounded too formal, while Michael J. Fox felt casual and memorable. He had no idea at the time that this quick decision would give him one of the most famous names in Hollywood history. The moment that changed his life came on August 20, 1982. At the time, Michael was 21 years old, $30,000 in debt, and dangerously close to eviction. He had begun selling off his last belongings just to survive. His phone bill was 2 months overdue, and he nearly missed the call that would alter his future forever. On the other end of the line was agent Bob Schulenberg, telling him that he had landed the role of Alex P. Keaton in the sitcom Family Ties. Michael had first auditioned in May of that year, so nervous that he almost ruined his chances. But during a callback on June 15th, he turned it around and eventually beat out 500 other actors, including Matthew Broderick. The role paid $5,000 an episode, earning him $100,000 for the first season and saving him from total collapse. Family Ties premiered on September 22, 1982, and by 1983 was pulling in over 30 million viewers each week. Michael later admitted in a 1990 interview that he cried with relief when he got the news, because he was only days away from giving up and returning to Canada. The show ran until 1989 and became the launchpad for his entire career. He won 3 Emmy Awards in a row from 1986 to 1988, and the success opened the door to his most iconic role in Back to the Future in 1985, which went on to earn $381 million worldwide. Interestingly, Alex P. Keaton was never meant to be the star of Family Ties. The show was originally pitched as a story about 2 liberal ex-hippie parents raising their children. But after just 4 episodes, audiences became fascinated with Michael's character, the ambitious, conservative teenager with a briefcase, and the writers shifted the entire focus of the show toward him. Even NBC executive Brandon Tartikoff doubted Fox at first, saying he was too short and didn't have the kind of face that would ever sell merchandise. In response, Fox later had a custom lunchbox made that read, "This is for you to put your crow in," and sent it to Tartikoff. By the time Family Ties ended on May 14, 1989, Michael J. Fox was no longer just another struggling actor. He had become one of America's most beloved TV stars, with a career that would only grow bigger in the years to come. Michael J. Fox's success in Hollywood came quickly and at a very young age. He won 3 Emmy Awards in a row from 1986 to 1988, something very few actors have achieved so early in their careers. In 1989, he also received a Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Comedy, the same year his hit show Family Ties came to an end. Over its 7-year run, the series earned 24 awards and 43 nominations, making it one of the most celebrated sitcoms of its time. Fox, still in his 20s, had become one of television's brightest young stars. His character, Alex P. Keaton, was the perfect fit for the 1980s. With his love for economics, Wall Street, and sharp 3-piece suits, Alex represented the conservative energy of Reagan-era America. Set in Columbus, Ohio, during Ronald Reagan's presidency, the show highlighted the clash between free-spirited baby boomer parents and their ambitious, conservative children. Fox's role was so iconic that people continued to reference Alex P. Keaton in political debates long after the series ended. While Family Ties made Fox a household name, it was Back to the Future that turned him into a global star. Interestingly, Fox was not the original choice to play Marty McFly. In November 1984, the role was first given to Eric Stoltz, who had recently been praised for his performance in Mask. However, after more than a month of filming, director Robert Zemeckis felt that Stoltz's darker, serious interpretation didn't fit the fun and playful energy he wanted for the film. On January 10, 1985, Zemeckis made the tough decision to replace Stoltz with Michael J. Fox. Although Stoltz was let go, he still received his full salary. The studio had already spent a lot of money filming, and only one brief shot of Stoltz made it into the final cut, the moment Marty punches Biff in 1955. Zemeckis later admitted that letting Stoltz go was the hardest decision of his career, even though he considered him a talented actor. Casting Fox created an exhausting schedule that very few actors could have managed. From mid-January to March 1985, he filmed Family Ties at Paramount from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., then immediately went to the Back to the Future set at Universal, where he worked from 6:30 p.m. until nearly 3 a.m. On Fridays, his schedule was even tougher. He rehearsed Family Ties in the afternoon, performed 2 live tapings for an audience, and then rushed to the movie set to film all night. At times, crew members had to carry the 24-year-old actor to bed because of his extreme exhaustion. He became so sleep-deprived that one day on the Family Ties set, he mistook a prop from Back to the Future for a real camcorder. This punishing schedule went on for 2 months until Family Ties wrapped in April 1985. Years later, during the filming of Back to the Future Part 3, Fox nearly lost his life. In a scene where Marty was supposed to be hanged, he first used a hidden safety box to make it look real. However, it didn't look convincing on camera. Wanting authenticity, Fox insisted on doing the scene without the box, using his hand to stop the rope from tightening. On the 3rd take, he miscalculated, and the rope cut off blood flow to his brain. He lost consciousness and dangled helplessly for several seconds until Zemeckis realized what was happening and ordered the crew to cut him down. Fox later admitted that the director's quick thinking saved his life, as he could have suffered brain damage, or worse. Despite the challenges, Back to the Future became one of the most beloved trilogies in movie history. The first film, released in 1985, earned nearly $400 million worldwide on a budget of only $19 million. In 2007, it was added to the United States Library of Congress's National Film Registry for being culturally and historically significant. Fox didn't just play Marty McFly, he also portrayed Marty's future son and even his Irish ancestor Seamus, showing his incredible range as an actor. The film introduced phrases, the DeLorean time machine, and even the number 1.21 gigawatts into everyday culture. Fox once compared the trilogy's timelessness to The Wizard of Oz, explaining that children never saw it as an old movie. Even decades later, Back to the Future continues to gain new fans, with reunions and charity events keeping its legacy alive. The success of the trilogy catapulted Fox into instant stardom. Just a month after its release, Teen Wolf hit theaters, making the summer of 1985 a defining moment in his career. More box office hits followed, such as The Secret of My Success, Light of Day, Casualties of War, and Doc Hollywood. By 1991, he even hosted Saturday Night Live. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Fox became one of Hollywood's most in-demand actors. His career stayed strong with the sitcom Spin City, which ran from 1996 to 2001 and earned him 3 Golden Globe Awards. What made Fox truly stand out was his ability to handle both comedy and drama. In 1989, he starred alongside Sean Penn in Casualties of War, a powerful Vietnam War drama based on real events. Fox played Private Erickson, a soldier who struggles with his squad's horrific actions against a Vietnamese woman. Film critic Roger Ebert praised it as Fox's best dramatic performance. The year before, in Bright Lights, Big City, Fox portrayed a man battling cocaine addiction, delivering a monologue that critics considered one of the finest moments of his career. These performances proved he was much more than just a teen idol. He was a serious actor capable of deep, emotional roles. Fox also found success in voice acting. In 1993, he voiced Chance the Bulldog in Disney's Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey, which became a family favorite. Later, he voiced the lead character in Stuart Little in 1999, which earned over $300 million worldwide. Voice acting became especially important as his health began to decline since it allowed him to keep working despite physical struggles. He also voiced characters in Disney's Atlantis, The Lost Empire in 2001, once again showing his versatility. By this time, Fox was firmly established as a box office powerhouse. The Secret of My Success earned $110 million, Doc Hollywood made $54.8 million, and even Teen Wolf, released around the same time as Back to the Future, grossed $80 million. Altogether, his films brought in more than $1.82 billion, ranking him among the top actors of his generation. Between 1985 and 1991, he managed to star in 10 feature films while also completing 7 seasons of Family Ties, a workload very few actors could handle. But behind his remarkable success, Fox's health was quietly deteriorating. In 1991, while filming Doc Hollywood, he noticed a small twitch in his left pinky finger. At only 29 years old, doctors diagnosed him with early-onset Parkinson's disease, a condition that would eventually change his life. The news devastated him, and within 6 months, the tremors spread from his finger to his entire hand. To cope, Fox turned to alcohol and later admitted that during those early years, he was definitely an alcoholic. He drank heavily to escape the fear of what was happening to his body. At times, he would sit in the bathtub for hours with his head underwater, feeling as though he needed to hit rock bottom before he could face the truth. On the outside, Fox continued to shine as Hollywood's energetic, charismatic star. From 1991 to 1998, he became skilled at hiding his condition from cameras and co-stars. He carefully timed his dopamine medication, swallowing pills like candy just before filming so his body would appear steady during scenes. On set, Michael J. Fox often had to find clever ways to hide the effects of his illness. He would hold coffee cups or carry briefcases to cover his shaking hands. He leaned against desks, walls, and other props to steady himself, forcing his body into positions that seemed natural to viewers but caused him constant pain. No one around him realized how much he was struggling every day. Just a year after his diagnosis in 1992, Everything reached a breaking point. He was drinking heavily, feeling depressed, and watching his symptoms get worse. He later admitted this was his rock bottom. With the help of his wife, Tracy Pollan, and their young children, he made the brave decision to quit drinking. He has remained sober for more than 30 years. The early days of sobriety were extremely difficult because alcohol had been his way of hiding from fear. Now he had no choice but to face it directly. Tracy stood by him, encouraging him to accept reality, and that choice became the beginning of his journey toward peace and acceptance. In the years that followed, Fox began to shift his career in quiet ways without telling the world why. After finishing movies like Doc Hollywood in 1991 and The Frighteners in 1996, he moved toward television. In 1996, he accepted the lead role in Spin City on ABC. Before signing, he privately told network president Robert Iger and DreamWorks head Jeffrey Katzenberg about his Parkinson's diagnosis. He explained that things might get very bad, or they might not, but they told him to go forward anyway. He chose television because it allowed him to work in one place instead of traveling constantly for movie shoots.